Am I the jerk for refusing to share my huge inheritance with my step-siblings? So I, 17 male, found out only a few weeks ago that my dad left me a lot of money in a trust. Like, it's such a crazy amount that I didn't really believe it at first. But it's true. The reason is that my dad had inherited from both his parents already. He also inherited from the only two uncles he had as well, and one of them was very successful and had a business. This was all explained in a letter my dad wrote to me. He had the trust set up before he came into most of the money, but when he found out his cancer was incurable, he decided to put it all aside for me once all medical bills were paid off for him. My parents were separated but not legally divorced when my dad was sick or died. But they weren't living together or as a couple for a year. This was 10 years ago. My mom found out about the money because she read the letter he sent to me about the issue. Then she insisted she was joining me to meet with the lawyer to discuss this. When my mom learned about the money, she told her husband, and suddenly the money became a very touchy subject. I can't touch it until I'm 19, with the way my dad set it up, so I have some time to deal with this, but my mom and her husband want me to share the money with my step-siblings, 14, 8, and 7. The money is enough that even if I paid for college and bought a house, I would have money left. The way the trust works, I was told it's also getting interest, which my dad had intentionally set up. My mom and her husband have struggled financially for years. They started dating when his youngest child was 1. His wife had died. He was going through a legal battle with the mother of his oldest, and his oldest is in therapy for trauma caused by their mom. Also, his youngest was born with some medical issues and has lots of doctor appointments. Between everything, money was tight. We live paycheck to paycheck, and I work to make my own life a little more comfortable. But we had no college savings or anything before this. My mom and her husband drained their own bank accounts to keep a roof over our heads. This has all been brought up to me as a good reason why I should do this. My mom told me it was selfish for Dad to put it all away solely for my future, and he should have been thinking about raising me as well. She told me I might not call her husband Dad or his kids my siblings, but we are a family, and this family has been through so much together, and we have struggled for so long that it would be so good and generous for me to do this. I told her it's not like I can access the money now. She said no, but when I do, I should set up accounts for my 3 step-siblings so they have a better chance at college, and if not college, the chance to have a good start in life. Despite all their attempts to talk me into it, I said no. I told them I wasn't going to share the money. My mom was so mad, but it was nothing compared to how mad her husband was. They told me to quit being selfish and start acting with compassion. So, am I the jerk for not sharing my inheritance? What should I do? Any advice is welcome. If you are enjoying this content, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like in this video. Now the next story. Am I the jerk for not wanting to dump $15,000 on my sister's 50th birthday celebration? So, I am doing fine in life financially, but my sister is, on another level, way richer than me. She paid for her house x10 what I paid for mine. No exaggerating. She is very family-oriented and enjoys family reunions, even when they end badly or hurt people's feelings. Both of our parents passed away some years ago, so family reunions are the siblings getting together with their respective families. 1.5 years ago, she announced that she wanted to do something special for her birthday. She gave me notice, basically, that she wanted to have a family reunion at a posh European location for at least a week. She and her family are exploring Europe for 6 weeks prior to the actual party. I told her I was going to try to go. I did not have the courage to tell her that. For me, it would be difficult, just financially speaking. Bringing my whole family, I have many kids, on this trip was going to cost me no less than $15,000. Just airfare alone would be close to $10,000. $15K is 1 year of tuition, my oldest is a junior, and I have other money stuff to think about too. So, when something from work created a conflict, I was relieved to have an excuse to cancel. She was super disappointed, particularly because she had made it very clear how important this trip was to her. If it had mattered to me, she said, I would have made the trip happen. So, I guess I am the jerk. But am I the jerk for not wanting to shell out 1 year worth of tuition in a 1-week, special birthday celebration for my rich sister? Next story. After my husband's 54 male cancer scare, I, 51 female, don't want to stay with him. My husband doesn't have cancer. He did have a lump that turned out to be a benign tumor. The doctor told us that it was lucky. If it had been cancerous, he would have likely ended up bedridden and needing my care. However, it could still turn out to be cancerous in the end. My husband thanked me for sticking by his side while going through this, and it makes me sick with guilt because I don't want to stay. A few years ago, I had ovarian cancer. Instead of supporting me, I found out he was cheating on me. He cried and begged for forgiveness. I honestly thought that I could get over it. I thought that we would get over it stronger than the other side. There's a joke where I'm from that men always have second families. Cheating husbands are very common, and their wives stay with them. My mom stayed with my cheating dad and even took in my half-sibling. He's been a great husband since. But I'm looking at taking care of someone who couldn't take care of me, who cheated on me instead of helping me. My mom had to help wipe my ass because I couldn't do it, and he was out cheating. I can't do it. I can and have done it for someone I love, but I can't do it for him. I feel like an awful person, and I don't know why this is the trigger. Why do I feel betrayed now? Why do I want to leave when he is potentially the most vulnerable? And what do I do when I don't want to stay with him when he could potentially be sick? Am I a monster for feeling like this? Next story. My 40 male, wife-to-be, 38 female, has a male friend that I utterly believe wants to break us apart. How can I make her understand this? Let me start by saying that I deeply believe in true friendship between men and women when there's no second intention or previous bonding between them. So, my wife-to-be has this male friend. They have tried to be a couple before, but it didn't work out between them. So, when we started dating, she spoke about literally all the previous relationships, except for this one. I came to realize that she was speaking with someone one day when we were in the car, and by the corner of my eye, I saw her smiling for something he had written about. I asked her what was going on, and we had a fight. I told her point blank, my issue is not with the ones you tell me about. The issue is with the ones you hide. We had our conversation, and things calmed down. A few months down the road, she told me she was going out with her colleagues. But you know when you have that feeling that something's not kosher? Well, I spent an awful night and couldn't sleep, even if someone had given me a dose of ketamine. She arrived home around 2 a.m., and I had finally been able to get some shut-eye. I woke up at 3 a.m., and her phone had just received a message. I saw and had the confirmation that she had gone out with him and was lying to my face. The following day, I asked her with whom she had gone out, and she actually made me feel like I was mentally unstable to even consider that she was lying. The argument about this lasted about 3 to 4 days. Even her best friends said that they wouldn't understand what led her to do that. On the message I read, it stated in between the lines that something happened. I love being with you. It always helps me to put things in perspective. After this point, I decided to read more and more of their conversation, and he just kept hitting on her. But he did it in a way that anyone who would read it out of context would say that I was crazy, so I decided to clone her WhatsApp. Was I wrong in doing that? The following week, he invited her again, and she just said to him that she would not go out with him because she doubted she would be able to convince me she would have another dinner with the colleagues in such a short period of time. The argument is gone, but he's still there, hanging around. We were supposed to have married that summer, and the stuff he said, that the date was chosen just because it was her birthday, so we would do a 2-on-1, that I had cast a spell on her. This part due to my religion, and the subtle hints and hitting on her carried on. The conversation between them kept going on and off from time to time, and then it became clear to me that every time we had an argument, it was immediately after she spoke with him. The guy disappeared from the scene after a while, and then, when all hell broke loose and our wedding was postponed due to a bad business decision on my end, the guy resurfaced, telling her that she needed to be calm, think things through, etc. He vanished again for almost 3 months and kept popping up like that until he told her he was going to be a dad. We had a hell of a fight at that time, and once again things calmed down. But every single time that jerk pops up, we either fight or she loses it with my kids. And because I want to hear it from her mouth, I tend to touch the dinner subject from time to time. She always said she would never cheat, and she keeps on saying to this day that she hasn't ever cheated. So my question is she keeping him around as a backup? Is there anything badly sorted between them? Should I be worried? What do you think OP should do? Tell me in the comments below. Next story. Am I the jerk for not letting my friend have a girl stay over at my place? This was last semester, In a studio apartment, the kitchen is separate but small. I have a buddy who is doing grad school part-time, and he has been struggling financially, so because he only has classes for 2 days per week and they're back-to-back, I let him stay with me. He sleeps in my room on an inflatable mattress, and that was fine for a semester and a half. I don't charge him anything, but he buys me breakfast or coffee, and it's totally fine with me. It's nice to have company, and we get along well. Then this girl comes into the equation. He actually met her through me. I'm in the same department as her, and I brought him along to a social event, and they hit it off. This is not anything new because he pulled the same moves on another girl I know, and it didn't work out. Anyway, they were going on a few dates here and there, but it was nothing serious. Then, a few weeks later, I suggested a little gathering at my place with some close friends, including him, but not her. I only have a small place, and she's not a close friend. But, at the last minute, he asked if he could invite her. I was a bit reluctant, but I knew he was into her, so I said sure. I knew she was in town soon to move into a new apartment, so I figured it was because of that. It turns out no, she was not in town but traveled like 1 hour to attend, which I did not find out until later. Anyway, it was all fine, although they kind of ignored everyone and just sat in the corner, giggling with each other, which was awkward. When it was time for everyone to leave, he asked if she could stay in the room with us. He said that he figured that she could just stay with us because he was staying here and he liked her. I was fuming because, first of all, I have one room, and they're already all over each other, and I do not want to be around that. But it felt so calculated and sneaky, like he clearly knew that he was going to ask me this the whole time but didn't. He then tried to make me feel bad for her by saying she didn't have all of her stuff moved into her apartment. I said that was, unfortunately, her problem. They then left to go to her apartment, which didn't have much bedding but was fine. I have been cordial, but things have naturally been frosty since. I feel like he took advantage of my kindness. But, at the same time, I know he likes her, so I feel a bit bad. They are official now, so clearly things worked out, but am I the jerk? Next story. Am I the jerk for not deplaning with my husband after he was kicked off for being too drunk? I, 28 female, recently married my husband Adam, 30 male. We are the same ethnicity and both speak our language. However, I am more fluent as I go to our home country more often as my extended family is there, and it's just my parents, me, and my sisters here. Adam's grandparents are the ones who came to our country first, so he has most of his family here, and we see them more often, so I am close with his family. My parents are divorced, and around the time I started dating Adam, my dad moved back to our home country. I regularly call him, but since he moved, he has come to see me twice and then was at my wedding. My dad disapproves of Adam, and I have had fights with Adam in the past about how I feel I have made more of an effort with his family, and he hasn't done the same for me. Both my parents speak our home language, and when we started dating, Adam wasn't conversationally fluent, so there was a barrier to them initially bonding, and it was more apparent when my dad came to stay with us, but in the lead up to the wedding, my dad stayed with us, and it went fine. I have been planning a trip to my home country to surprise my dad, and I asked Adam to come as well. He agreed and then balked when I said we were going to stay with my dad and made what I thought was a funny joke about having to drink before meeting him. I didn't find it funny, and Adam later apologized. However, yesterday was our flight, and I was coming to the airport after work, so Adam went early with our suitcases to check in, and we were meant to meet up later. He was drunk, and the flight attendant wouldn't let him on the plane. I called my brother-in-law, who could take care of Adam, and left my brother-in-law's phone number with the attendant taking care of Adam, and I stayed on my flight. My home country is far away, so tickets are expensive, and I took leave from work for the trip so I wouldn't get off with Adam. Adam is now upset with me, saying I left him in a situation where he was drunk, and if roles were reversed, he would have never left me alone when I was impaired, but I don't think that is fair. Am I the jerk? Next story. Am I the jerk for accidentally being fatphobic? I, 21 female, hosted a birthday dinner for my best friend, Anna, 22 female, the other day. I invited all her close friends, made the cake, made a ton of food I knew everyone could enjoy, and decorated the place with all her favorite things. I was exhausted, and honestly, all that cooking kind of killed my appetite. So when everyone was eating, I only had a couple things before putting my plate away. One of the friends, let's call her Sarah, noticed and asked what was wrong. I told her, I just don't have that much of an appetite, but please don't stop on my account. I made all this food, so enjoy to your heart's content." She didn't say anything. She just nodded and walked off. Then we moved on to games, and everyone had a blast, until it was time to cut the cake. The cake was delicious, and people were gobbling it up, as they should, because it was amazing. I only took a few bites of cake before putting it away, and Sarah once again walked up to me. She talked about how good the cake was and how everyone was downing it. I laughed and told her I was super happy everyone was enjoying it, and I wish I could down my piece like everyone else, but I just finished a whole bottle of Mexican Coke earlier, so a few bites were all I could stomach right now. Then, out of the blue, she went off on me. She started yelling at me about how I shouldn't have called her fat. I don't think I did, though, and that I should be ashamed of making people feel guilty about eating. Anna came over, trying to calm Sarah down because now everyone was staring and wondering what was happening. I tried to reach out to Sarah in an attempt to defuse the nuclear war I inadvertently started, but she stomped off. Anna looked at me confused, and I just shrugged before telling everyone to continue as they were. The party eventually kicked back off. I tried to text Sarah to come back and apologize, but she just left me on hold. Now, a few days later, Anna's friends refused to talk to me. Sarah has spread the word that I'm fatphobic, and everyone is eating it up. I know I'm not as close to them as Anna is, but it still hurts that they seem to believe Sarah so easily without attempting to understand the whole situation. My best friend tried to explain to them that it was a simple miscommunication, but no one seemed to be listening. The only thing that'll apparently help the situation is a full-blown apology from me in person to Sarah, Sarah's words to my friend, but I really don't think I did anything wrong. So, Reddit, please weigh in. I'm so confused. Edit. Oh gosh, I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. The way my phone kept going off in class. Oof. But here's an update for those who are curious. I texted Anna throughout all of this, and apparently Sarah has been going around and telling the friend group a completely different story than what happened. That's why they've been icing me out. From what Anna can gather, she's been saying I was the one who went up to her and made comments about how much she's eaten, which never happened. I'm over this petty drama, so I just texted everyone in a group chat and let them know they can believe what they want. For what it's worth, Anna is 100% on my side since she knows I'm not the type to police who eats what. I'm graduating soon with my university degree, so I have better things to worry about. If they respond, I'll let y'all know what they say. Am I the jerk for demanding back our apartment keys, even though my boyfriend's parents didn't overstep boundaries? Last year, I, 24 female, moved in with my boyfriend, Alex, 27 male. I moved to his city because it was more convenient with work for the both of us. His parents live a few minutes away from us. They and I don't really get along. They blame it on cultural differences, but in short, his mom is overbearing and doesn't care about boundaries, and his dad is a tyrant. My boyfriend does stand up for me and doesn't pressure me to spend more time with them than is politely necessary. When we moved in, he said he would give 2 spare keys to his parents in case we forgot ours. I was really uncomfortable with that, but he promised that even though they are as they are, they would never just enter our apartment, so I agreed. Not even 2 months later, I'm awake at 5 a.m. because I hear someone enter our flat. I'm terrified and wake Alex, who only seems annoyed when he gets out of bed. I hear screaming and suddenly, the door to our bedroom swings open, and his dad starts yelling at me that he called one of Alex's co-workers who said Alex is sick, and as a good woman, it's my responsibility to make him go anyway. I was in shock, covering my bare chest, when Alex finally managed to drag him out of the flat. Scared, disrespected, and violated did not even begin to describe what I was feeling, and Alex promised that the first thing he would do the next day was make sure his dad didn't have access to our flat anymore. It has been a few months without incidents, but yesterday I found out that even though Alex took his dad's key, he still left one with his mom. I was really upset because he promised to take care that his dad would not have access to a key anymore, and that I wanted that second key back today, but Alex was not understanding. He said it's just inconvenient for us to break open the door if we ever forget the key, and that I should not be so dramatic since nothing has happened in the last few months. I told him I don't know that, since someone could have been at the flat when we were not there, and besides that, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. They severely overstepped, and taking the key seems like a natural consequence. He then asked why I'm punishing his mom, and I countered by asking how it's punishing his mom if the key is not hers to begin with. He said that this will create a lot of drama with his family and that I'm a jerk for demanding he put up with that when there is no reason. I feel like this one incident is reason enough, not to mention that he broke my trust by letting me believe he took both keys. But what do you think? Am I the jerk in this situation? And for our last story, am I the jerk for choosing to have my mom come wedding dress shopping with me over my stepmom? This is about a dispute between me and my dad, or stepmom. It's a dispute that started because my dad and stepmom were upset that I chose to go wedding dressing shopping with my mom and not with my stepmom instead. For those who will wonder why both women couldn't be there, there's a lot of bad blood there, and my stepmom hates my mom and refuses to be civil with her anymore now that I'm over 18. She also refuses to be in the same room unless it's some major event in my life. Otherwise, they are never in the same place. The same goes for my dad and my mom. So this dates back many years. I'm not sure if the tension between them always existed, but I was aware of the fact that my mom and stepmom didn't like each other when I was younger. I was also aware that my mom and dad didn't like each other. Though I feel like they put up a better act around me than my mom and stepmom could, both sides have their own reasons as to why the tension started. My mom has never told me directly, but my aunt has told me what my mom told her, while my dad and stepmom have shared their side with me. But the big conflict came when I was 10 and my stepmom had a later miscarriage, 15 weeks, and my mom mocked her. I was not present when this happened. I do not know exactly what was said. What I do know is that once that happened, it went from conflict to outright distaste and hatred, with my dad and stepmother not wanting to see my mom ever. And when I turned 16, they told me about what my mom did and explained that they would hope I would agree that what my mom did was unforgivable and that I would choose to live with them instead. I did not choose to live with them, and while I acknowledge my mom's doing that is wrong, I still love her, and she's still my mom. I'm closest to my mom the most out of the three of them, then my dad, and then my stepmom. This is something my dad and stepmom feel. My stepmom has admitted to me in the past that she struggles to understand how I can continue my relationship with mom unchanged, knowing she was downright evil to her after the worst thing a parent can experience, child loss, and the fact she celebrated the death of one of my siblings. For the last few years, whenever my parents and stepmom are in the same room together, my dad and stepmom end up trying to pick a fight with my mom. Sometimes it works, and other times my mom walks away. But they will seek her out or be the ones to start throwing insults or causing trouble. I have asked them not to, and my stepmom told me I cannot expect her to be in the same room as my mom and let the woman who did that to her go without a word. So when it came to dress shopping, I knew having both was not an option, and I refused to give my stepmom a chance with a warning, because I know it will go down the same way it always does. So I chose to bring my mom. My stepmom saw the bridal store's photo of me, my mom, future mother-in-law, and future sister-in-law on their social media, and she was very upset to see mom there instead of her. And so they were angry with me. So, am I the jerk for choosing my mom? That's all for this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for daily content. See you next time.